real passion gives you capacity to stay even when things are tough. That is passion. All right. So when someone says, I'm passionate about you, but small wind blows like this, they change their mind. No, there's no passion that's there. Hello, how are you?
Hi, good evening. Welcome to Spotlight with Ivy. Yay!
Thank you very much. Well done.
I didn't hear you.
I said, well done. Good one.
Thank you, sir. It's lovely to have you here today. So if you're just joining us, please let us know where you're tuning in from. We're up with Mr. Jimi Tewe today. So if you have any questions, please note that you can put your questions up in the chat and we will take, hello Kenneth, and we will take your questions. Yeah, so welcome, sir. I think this has been a long time coming. I've been really looking forward to having you here today. And we want to start with some icebreaker questions. Evening, everybody. Welcome. Basically, so the title of the icebreaker question is: would you rather? Would you rather?
I'm listening.
First question: would you rather be a superhero or a villain?
Oh, a
villain.
Villain. I'm born again, a superhero.
Superhero. Okay. Next question. Would you rather live without your phone or your car?
Without phone or what?
Your car.
Phone. I can get my phone to bring people to come and meet me. I can't live without my phone. I'd rather live without the car. Yeah, let's put it that way. So phone, you can get people to come. But if you have car, you can arrive where you are going and the person has left the place.
Okay. Next question. Would you rather be the funniest or the smartest person in the room?
Smart. Because if you are really smart, you'll be funny. If you are really smart.
That was really smart.
Thank you.
Okay, so what's your favorite genre of book? This is a different kind of question. What's your favorite genre?
I used to, years ago, I was at the bookstore some days ago and I saw some John Grisham's. I've not read them in a while, but I don't know how to categorize them. Self-development book, I guess. That's what it probably be.
Okay. Second to the last question. What's the worst job you've ever had?
A company called Junior Achievement. It wasn't bad, but comparatively, it was okay. But at the point in time, I got promoted into a role that I wasn't fit for. And, I remember I scored 45%. I can't forget.
What role was that, though?
I was head of public relations and fundraising. Two things that my personality at that point in time could not accommodate. Yeah.
So how did that go? How long were you in that role for?
I worked in Junior Achievement for 1.5 years, but 1 year, 3 months. But that role, I was there for almost 5 months or so. Yeah.
Wow.
But I had to find my way back to what I was doing, just program coordinating. And once I was successful, I took off. So I have good memories about me.
Okay. Well, you've done really well for yourself, sir, I must say.
We're grateful to God.
Okay. So welcome everybody. Welcome to Spotlight with Ivy. Let me introduce our guest for today. Our guest is Mr. Jimi Tewe, and is the CEO of Inspiro Consulting, a career service and human resource management firm in Lagos. He's happily married. To Mrs. Lola Tewe. Has been happily married for 14 years and has 2 children, and is also the author of an amazing book. He has many books, but this one I specifically say the Purpose book, a 31-day journey to discovering and fulfilling your purpose. And the pastor of Kingsford, am I right? Oh, all right. So,
I'm a pastor in the ministry, but I'm not actively pastoring.
Okay.
I have a new role.
Okay, yes. So welcome, Mr. Jimi Tewe. I'm glad to have you. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about finding purpose in marriage. And Spotlight with IB basically to highlight the importance of everybody living purposeful lives and being intentional about knowing that they are here on an assignment. Basically, I know that Mr. Tewe is a very vocal person on purpose, and that's why he wrote his book, The Purpose Book. So, first question, and since we're talking about marriage, I know I've heard this gist before, but for the sake of people that I haven't heard this gist, how did you meet your wife?
I was walking in the spirit one day. I'm just joking. All right. This was my NYC year, and I had just moved to Lagos in, I think, January actually, for NYC, and we, of course, at that time, I think I had one or two people that were my reader that I liked, at that point in time, and we were friends, and eventually I remember that, I was attending a particular church. First church was because of the first girl. Second church that I attended, I wanted something more, but I wasn't connecting. Then somebody invited me to the church, where I'm part of right now. And eventually, long story short, I agreed to go. Now, before then, what had happened was that I was working in a company called Rich Consulting. And at Rich Consulting, there was a particular gentleman there called Demola. And Demola was my friend. And Demola used to come to me for counseling because he had this lady he liked. And she wasn't really taking him serious. So I was telling him, even you yourself, you have to be serious. So I was adjusting, working with him with regards to this particular lady who happened to be my wife. I did not know, all right? And all that. And so eventually I met her in church. What thrilled me about her was she was running something then called Covenant Minds. So she used to write a newsletter every month, print them and send them to universities across Nigeria every single month, and I really was, taken by that. And then, of course, PT also and all that. And so I kind of expressed my interest to my friend who took me to church. So we became friends. We met up on her birthday in 2002, that same year. Then, of course, we saw in church, and then the friendship began from there. And, it was, we were friends for 9 months before we began to date. In that period, she said no to me 2 times. The third time, she said yes to me. That is a summary of the experience. That's what I'm saying.
That's really interesting. Thank you for that. You said you guys were friends for 9 months, and then you started dating. So at what point in the friendship did you start asking out?
Well, I had so we met in September, and in December, because we are very close, we used to talk every single day, all right, during work hours, after work hours, and then sometimes she used to work in a company called SYU such and such. I didn't have a car then, so she would say, "Oh, we need someone to go to the island to submit these documents at MTN." I will go. She will come. She will tell me. So we'll come with the bus together. I'll follow her home and all that. And so we're pretty close. And I knew that I liked her, and I knew that I wanted to be part of her life and part of her success also. I prayed about it, and I had a strong peace. And my prayer to God was really interesting. I said, "God, see me, I like her. I know you can see the heart of me. I like her. So this is not a question of, Lord, is it your will?" That's why I'm coming. I'm being honest. However, I prayed the prayer. I said, "God, if I'm not the best person to marry her, please don't let me marry her. And she's not the best person for me to be married to. Please don't let it happen." And that was how I started off and all that. And it was a journey and all. And so that's how it happened, yes.
Okay, I'm wondering though, at the time when you were marrying her, did you actually think that you guys have a very interesting journey, or did you just think it was just a normal, ordinary marriage? Or did you even know yourself at that time?
We were we are very good friends, very good friends. And I think one of the things that has helped us is our friendship. You know, she's my person, and she says I'm a person too. You know, so and that helped a lot. You know, in fact, it was so intense that she felt, oh, maybe I'm not hearing God any longer. Let me slow this down a bit, and that's why she nailed me twice. Okay. Even I resurrected on the third day, and all that. But that was really, what. So it wasn't. I mean, the experience as friends, all right, was amazing, and for me, that has been the premise for our marriage, even going forward, and all that. So we've had our differences, no doubt about it. I'm a bushman. Sometimes I do like a bush boy. I do things I should not do. Maybe say things I should not say, and all those kind of things. But she's very forgiving, and I tell her that she should just calm down. We have more than 50 years of marriage, things will get better, okay? So, but I mean, the same thing also, I mean, I'm learning also. So, but, I mean, this, I think it was yesterday morning, she says, we've been at home practically for the last 6 weeks, and we've not quarreled once.
Oh, wow.
As you grow, you start knowing what matters to somebody, I mean, she came to me and said, I want you to do this. Yeah, I always do this. And I said, no, I'm not always doing it. I do it most times, or not. So I just joke around it. But I get back to that and do it. So I guess being friends has helped a lot. And being real companions has helped a lot, even in this journey. She's not the kind of person that, will not speak her mind. And I'm not the kind of person that would stop and say what she is. But that's also, we work together so she can say it in a way that my mind can accommodate. Same thing, vice versa. That way the conflicts are not as much, So that's how it's been.
Okay. I do know that by the time you started your career journey, you got to a point you were rising. You were the youngest manager in UBA at the time, and you got to a point that you realized that there was more to what you could be doing than all the benefits that you're accruing at that time. You just felt like there was a purpose to what you're doing. So you actually discovered yourself after you got married.
Yeah.
Because you're married.
I'll put it this way. My journey of self-discovery had started years before. Okay. And I tell people that, the discovery of purpose is not an event. It is a journey. Oh. And so I'm still discovering more things about myself. There are things I'm more aware about now I did not know 10 years ago, okay? But what I tell people is that always live with the degree of enlightenment about purpose that you have and be intentional about it. So in picking and being, choosing, and to say I wanted to be with her, also I saw the way she handled conversations about what mattered to me. I saw that it mattered to her. One time, she called me, it was Saturday, and she says, Jimmy, I heard that they're doing free company registration. No, discounted company registration at Ojo trade fair, and it was 5,000 naira instead of maybe 30,000 or whatever, to encourage people to business. Let's go. I remember I borrowed the 5K from my uncle. We went all the way to Ojo. She was not that told me about it. We went all the way and came back and we not registered any company. It ended up being a nice time out, but the fact that she was interested in what mattered to me, exactly, yeah. So that mattered. I don't think that you should ideally, be in a marriage relationship where the person doesn't have an idea of what matters to you, where you're going, and where that thing doesn't matter to you, because our essence, matters a whole lot. And so when your spouse doesn't support you, when your spouse doesn't believe in you, it's a tough one. In fact, if you're not careful, it'll position you to begin to look for validation outside rather than inside. It actually makes it a whole lot more difficult to manage. So that mattered a lot. It mattered to me what she wanted to do. My wife wrote her book before I ever did. She wrote her first book, before, we started dating, and before I ever wrote my first book. She wrote her first book in 2002. I wrote my first book in 2004. She has 3 books to date and all that. So I met her doing what she loved to do and all that, and that gave me an idea. And I remember I joined her partners. I used to give money every month, to just contribute to what she was doing and all those kind of things. So in a way, that was my strategy of entering, but also I sincerely believed in what she was doing and all that. So and in sharing our visions and all that, I could see where I could support, and now that vision has evolved. But because I wanted to support, I still want to support, in that journey. So I think, and this is what I'll say, Bukum, I think that, to be very honest, marriage, the purpose of marriage, much more than anything, is basically supposed to be an empowerment to fulfill your purpose. That's what I believe personally. That's me. I believe that, the journey of Adam, or the journey of man, and the concept of marriage was introduced so that you can fulfill as man. That's why if you look at the scriptures, when we see Adam and all that, you will see that Jesus said there's no marriage in heaven. And was very specific about that, to let you know that after this place, it doesn't matter, okay? So basically, it's designed for what matters in eternity, and that has a lot more to do with your purpose. And so your marriage should empower you more. There should be a home you can come to, having fought battles and all that, where you can clean your wounds, you can be suited, you can be restored, then launch into the world again. But if you're fighting wars at home, fighting wars in the world, you'll be broken. That's the thing that I believe.
So, sir, from what I heard you say now, in identifying somebody that you would want to partner with, the person already has to be showing some level of interest in a skill or a path or a career, for you to know if there's a way you can help or augment what they're doing at the moment, because that journey actually is unwinding.
Yeah, I believe so. And I'm not saying I'm going to know everything about the person. Some people start off and then eventually they change. But if you're authentic enough with your partner, they will be part of it. Even as you're rediscovering yourself, they'll be part of that journey. And so it's not going to be a surprise. It's not like someone says, I never married a pastor, then the guy comes and says, God said I'm not a pastor. All right. Even the process of I'm not a pastor to become a pastor, the person will be part of that process. And if they genuinely love you and like you, they will actually support you in that regard. Yes.
Okay, so you talked about communication, about your process and how do you recommend people to communicate their journey? Like, because sometimes you don't even understand what is wrong with you at that point. You just know that there's something changing and you can't even articulate it. So since you can't even articulate it, how can you even explain it to your partner?
I think one of the first virtues of love, it says in 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4, it says love is patience. The first capacity you must have when it comes to love is patience. And if you have patience, when your partner is going through their emotions and trying to decipher what they need to do, at that point, you must be patient with them and all that. So I've had my own phases also where I wasn't too sure about what I wanted to do. She has had her phases and all that, but because we have chosen, and I'm empowered by God's Spirit to also be patient with each other, what we do is that during that period of discovery, we're thinking about how to support the other person. It's not always comfortable. And let me say this to you, my marriage is not perfect though. All right, we have work someday, but we don't fight, we don't shout. I think that the reason why people shout and all that, sometimes it's upbringing and all that, is also, not growing in understanding the best way to communicate with your spouse. I think people, in neuro-linguistic program, we talk about the fact that people are products of their upbringing, their environment, and strong emotional experiences, and all that. So I'll give an example and make it real. So for me, growing up in the home where I grew up and all that, we didn't have a lot of chatter, we didn't have a lot of laughter. It was almost everybody's teaching straight. When daddy's at home, be quiet. That kind of home, and all that. But my wife, it was a loud house, okay? So everybody's laughing and stuff like that, our house was a big house. So we had cousins that were going to stay, that were going to support, or to do all part of the. So if you don't shout in that house, you don't take a bath on time, you will not get food to eat and all that. So by the time we got married, having a conversation with my wife, she'll say, I'll say, why you shouting? I'm not shouting at you. So I used to initially get upset, but love is patient, love is kind. So until one day I just sat back and I said, it is from this other thing. So one day, when she was in a good mood, and I began to explain my observation and all that. And eventually she saw it. So what would happen is that I would say something, they'll say, they'll be like, sorry. And she would say the same thing again and all that. The same thing also, let me flip it now. On my own end, we're not very expressive emotionally in my own home. I have only one sister. We have 3 brothers. You'd have imagined that we'd be doting on our sister and all that. No, she was like a man. Everybody to yourself. So in my marriage, it took me a while to learn how to, release myself and open up. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, to come as a public speaker, just 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 hour, you do what you have to do and go out. But someone lives with you, and she had to live with that. And sometimes you got very frustrated with that. I remember one time she went and started doing some research, and she showed me. And when I see stuff, she showed me that was like, so because I became aware of that, so I started doing some things intentionally so they're more natural to me. So my wife says, that you don't hold me, you don't touch me and all that. So sometimes driving, I just put my hand on her head, It's not like I'm feeling, anything, but, it matters to her. And then after a while, it's now almost automatic, to want to do that. So I think that, again, in terms of communication, this is where we started from. I think that, you need to, number one, love believes the best. That's another thing that is there. So no matter the face that the person is, sometimes they make mistakes genuinely, or sometimes stupid mistakes and all that, but they're your spouse. So you must be able to see how you can support them in their journey towards recovery. And then when they get it right, you're probably good, you enjoy it. You will get the returns, you get the results and all that. So that's how I think it works.
Okay, so somebody is asking a question. Says, what's the difference between passion and purpose? And can you say if you are passionate about something that it might be tilting toward purpose?
So let's look at the root meaning of this word, the etymology. Okay, the root meaning for passion is suffering.
Is what?
That's what passion is. Suffering. Yeah, people don't know that. But that's what I mean. And it actually came from the passion of the Christ, the sufferings of Christ. Yeah, so passion is what gives you capacity to suffer. That's why you see passionate people that are suffering and they keep going on. It is a strong ability that is right. No, you don't need to open your mouth. Because when we interpret passion, we think about it in the context of marriage and passion. No, that's not passion. That's emotion, and that's separate. Real passion gives you capacity to stay even when things are tough. That is passion. All right. So when someone says I'm passionate about you, but small wind blows like this, you change your mind. No, there's no passion that's there. All right. Passion, keeps you through and all that. And so passion is the fuel that God gives you to fulfill your purpose. You get my point? Yes, that's what it is. So purpose means intent, objective, the end in mind, as it were. And so what that means in essence is that you are going on a journey, that's the end in mind. But you see, there's even what we call placement, or your job, and placement can be job, entrepreneurship, ministry, development space, and all that. So there's the placement. In other words, that's the vehicle. The passion is the fuel. The destination is purpose.
Wow.
That's how I explain it. Yeah.
Wow. I was trying to write that down. I hope somebody got that. If you got that, please write that down in the comments, please. Please write that down. Okay. And I should mention that today's episode is sponsored by Torera Zobos. So if you wait till the end, you can get to win a free pack of Torera Zobo. I'll give the instructions at the end. So that was really, really amazing. So I have another question here from somebody. As a woman, people say you are the neck and we are to support our spouses. How do we manage personal purpose and helping the other person achieve theirs? Sometimes combining both is almost impossible. If yes, is there a timeline for that? Thank you very much.
I understand that people say that you're the neck. We have to be sure that that's what the Bible says. But I'm not saying anything, okay? I think there's equality, as it were, because when the two of you become one, literally speaking, there's no separation. You guys are intermingled. You are one, okay? So, although from a point of authority and hierarchy, as it were, we know that Christ is the head of the church. We know that the body is there and all those kind of things, So, or someone says, oh, well, the woman is the neck. No matter what the head is, if your neck doesn't turn, your head cannot turn. I think it is wrong to think that a woman was born or made for a man. I think that is wrong. Let's look at it, because they say it was when God said, "Not good for man to be alone," that God made it. That's not true. Genesis 1. says, God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the cattle of the field, the birds of the air. Then God created them, male and female created it. When Eve came, that was the deployment of what had been created. Because when Adam came in Genesis 2 and 7, all right, that was not when man came. That was the body of man, the infield body of man that came to life. But man had been made in Genesis. Because after God made them, then God blessed them and said, be fruitful. Now, you cannot speak to, even from a procreation point of view, you cannot speak to a man by himself to be fruitful. Because without the woman, he cannot. So God said to them, male and female. So it's important because there's a theory that people are saying about the fact that, okay, you know what, it was later that God now, no, a woman was not an afterthought. So that's why in marriage, the two of you are one before God. And that's the thing that is important. So a woman was not designed to, you know, to just support a man. A man was designed to support his wife. When we get to heaven, God is going to ask me about Lola Tewe and ask her, did you support her on the journey to becoming herself? Yes. And that's so important. So, but the other part to it is that in the journey, the actual journey, you know, that sometimes when one person might need to step down and maybe not be as visible because the other person. So I know, for example, that there'll be seasons in my life when my wife is maybe doing her master's or she's, you know, traveling in love because she has a ministry to women and all of this. She'll be where I will be at home. And it's not a problem for me. I used to have my office in Lekki Phase 1. My wife works in Yaba. We live in Lekki, Axis of Lagos. That's from distance. She leaves almost times before 6 o'clock. Does not come back till 8 o'clock and all that. So I close my office in Lekki to stay at home so that the kids can see one of us. There is a phase of life when I'm doing that. And that's why, because of that, I can decide tomorrow when I go to America for 4 weeks, she knows that I have paid my dues. So I don't think it's that way. Now, ultimately, decision making, when you are in a car, there's an accident, we must hold one person responsible for that. So that's the driver. So the thing about being the head is not about exerting power, but receiving responsibility. Being the head actually speaks to responsibility and not rulership. And that those are the challenges that we've had, you know, because Jesus said, if anyone is going to be the greatest, he must become the servant of all. So if you're going to be the greatest in your home, you must serve your home. So you're not meant to be the lion of the tribe of your home. All right? You are not meant to be. You are actually meant to be both a lion and a lamb. Remember in Revelations 5, the Bible said that there was nobody found to open the scrolls that were in the hands, you know, of the Father. And then it says, and people are wondering, who will open the scrolls? And then someone says, don't cry any longer. Behold, the lion of the tribe of Judah. And then now it says, see the lion of the tribe of Judah. But when they turned to look, they saw a lamb. So, I mean, I'll say in Revelation 5, that rather than seeing, it says, behold the lion of the tribe of Judah. But it now said that when they turned and saw, they saw a lamb that was slain. As the head of a home, you must be both a lion and a lamb. You must know when to be a lion and know when to be a lamb. Many times, people believe that being the head is only about lions and eating. You will eat your destiny away. You must know when to be a lamb in that process. And you must not be a lamb when you are meant to be a lion. When it comes, for example, about the preservation of your home, things are not going well. As the priest of the family, you should be able to go to God and pray on behalf of your family for things to go well and all that. When it comes to physical preservation and protection of your family, it is your responsibility where that is concerned, and provision and things like that. So that's just my thought about it. But I'm old school. You know, the new school has different thoughts about it.
Wow. So basically, the man has his purpose and the woman has a purpose, basically.
Yes, they do.
In a case where we are not able to align, or he's not able to perform the support function, or she's not able to perform in the support function to him, what would be a remedy to try to fix the situation? Or
I think that while there's that liberty and all that, in the home, like I said, there's hierarchy and there's authority also, as it were, and all that. And you know, many times that's why the Bible says, husband love your wife submits to your husband. And I think that a husband that loves his wife would have a very submitted wife. That's the truth about it. So when you don't force submission, you don't have to open your Bible and say to the wife, read this. God says you submit to me. The moment you are doing that, I can guarantee you are not loving her. All right? Now, so submission is something that is willing. For example, we are submitted to God It's not forcing us that, you know, and all that. We willingly submit to it. And that's the way that it's meant to be. Christ and the church, husband and wife. Now, with regard to what you are saying, there really will be some seasons where one person needs to step down, all right? And maybe for the wife and all that, you want to do that. I also believe that, you know, in this journey and all that, you know, you have to think about creative ways to support each other and all that, what matters in the whole. And some people believe, oh, I don't want a housemaid and all those kind of things. Okay, well, you don't ever stay in your house, but can somebody come and clean? Your wife cannot be cleaning the house forever and ever. That is not primarily the assignment she has. She has that responsibility to ensure it's done. But someone can come in the morning and go. That's why you have to be wealthy, by the way, okay? So you can afford these support systems and things like that. So a lot of people are not able to do many things. And I've seen many broken women that had big dreams before they got married, but because they also got married to somebody that has this wrong, you know, premonition, they don't provide any support for them. And women are, you know, they're motherly, so they want to be around their children. So they rather sacrifice for their children, but they are pained. And you don't want a pained wife. It's a poisonous thing that will backfire in the future. Because that woman, you know, Bible says that, you know, husband, that you better love your wife. It says, if I read that thing about it, that, you know, that God will not even answer your prayers. Okay? It's in the Bible. You know, and all that. So I asked my wife, are you happy? Are you fine? Because I want to pray now. Please, I beg you, know. And all that. Sometimes I say, Auntie, I don't pray for me. I'm feeling it. Because it's like I'm trying to struggle against the week, you know. So prayer. My wife tells me, I prayed for you today. I had. Thank you. I buy a Zubo or something like that would be good. So I think it's a divine partnership. I think that, you know, and I know a bit more, but I'm still trying to study it a lot more because I believe that if anybody is going to be successful in marriage, you must understand the relationship between Christ and the church. That is the only model the Bible compares it with. So when you don't know the model, you will misfire, you misbehave. But the more about the model you know, the better it is. You're going to have better experiences in your marriage too.
Okay, I have this question to ask because as you're speaking, I was just wondering, which is higher, marriage or purpose?
I've told you, ultimately, there's no purpose. Matthew 22:30. In the resurrection, there will neither be marriage or giving in marriage. So I'm telling you that marriage is not an end in itself. And I think a lot of people, that's another challenge in our generation. A lot of people, you know, believe that, you know, once I'm married. No, that you see, you are just started. But you are on a journey, because ultimately, when we get before the Father, what will matter is what we'll use our life to do. So, you know, it's not about the tool. And marriage is a beautiful tool when, you know, it's well done and all those kind of things, but it's not an end in itself, okay? So that's what I believe. So if you ask me in terms of whatever, one is made for the other, okay? And I believe that marriage is ultimately made for a purpose. But you're meant to have a beautiful experience in that marriage, okay? But that's true about it.
In a situation where the tool is not serving the purpose, will it be okay to drop the tool and just face your purpose?
That's a very strategic question. So let me answer it strategically. All right. So my thought is this, you know, I mean, because again, you know, and I'll be very frank and direct about it, because I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, I mean, if it's not working, you know, divorce and all those kind of things, and move on with your life. And what has been found, for example, you know, with divorce, you know, when it just becomes an option to just take, and if I don't like the boss, I get down and I find another boss, is that people that tend to get into those divorce situations tend to repeat some things. And that's research-based. This is not me speaking and all that. So I think that it's not necessarily about trying to opt out of a vehicle you don't like. I think the first thing to be able to do is to try to see whether it can work, okay? Now, there are certain extremes. For example, if I hear, for example, that a man is beating his wife, okay? I will beat him. That's for, I'll ask God for forgiveness after all, but I'll beat him, because I think it's only weak men that beat women. I don't even think I know, all right? It's only a weak person that can raise his hand, because it means my voice is not powerful. My words don't mean anything, so I need to add force to it. That's why you need your hand. That a real woman responds. That's why everything responds to the voice of God's command. God doesn't need to beat us. He does his word. So that's how it's meant to be. So what I believe very sincerely is that in that instance, for example, let's say that there should be sometimes what I call a guided separation. What I mean by that is that if the guy has anger problems and we cannot say what he's going to do tomorrow, separate them, let her be somewhere. I'm telling you. And I mean, you know, some things just have to be said. not divorce them or separate them. And then what I mean by a guided separation is that let them have, there's a regime, a program. They are coming together. He's working on his whatever. They go on dates together. If you know that he's going to, they now beat out their that this thing is deeper. It's deeper than what it is and all that. And then there are ways to go about that. And my own thought about it is this: that God hates divorce. That's what the Bible says. But there are many things God hates also. I think that that's important to be able to state. In certain situations, and I've seen, for example, where a man has given his soul over to the enemy, and you have prayed, but the person, now let me say, you cannot deliver a person who doesn't want to be delivered. It's not possible. There must be a desire. And in those instances, I've seen where the person has taken a step, initiated a divorce, moved on, and God has, in his mercy, helped them and they've gone forward. Okay? But again, I tell you that you don't do those things by yourself. You get guidance, you get help, you open yourself to authorities. And that's why I have people that call me their dad, and I take it very seriously. I mean, young ladies, I've known them from university and all that, and I've tried to be there for them because many of them did not have fathers, and God asked me to literally kind of adopt them. And one thing I always say, when they come to me and say, oh, I found, hi dad, I found somebody and all that, I say, hey, yes. And I ask many questions, but one question I ask, who is he submitted to? Many of them say, I'm not sure. I don't know. So when the guy comes and I'll just talk, I'll be like, so do you have like a mentor? Someone else said, no, I don't believe in those partition things and all that. So I'm like, can I ask you a question? If you do something wrong, who can they report you to? Says, well, no, I'm okay. I told her, don't marry him. I'm telling you, there's no need to pray about that one. Because you see, one thing I believe is that, you see, as men grow and we get exposed to different things in life, we're going to have temptations. We're going to have, there's no perfect person that will not be tempted. Well, you see, the good thing about it is that if you cannot even handle your personal temptation yourself, they must be able to pull your ears. If nobody can pull your ears, you are destroyed before you started. Power without control will kill. And that's what happens to a lot of people. Okay? So that's what I'll share.
Wow.
So yes, went into the single part, and then there's a question here. So as a single lady that has discovered purpose, should she wait until marriage before pursuing it, or should she start now?
If Jesus comes before you marry, you are finished off. Start running. As it's showing you, in fact, I advise people to be about purpose before the subject of marriage comes up. I'm telling you, because there's certain experiences you have in the process of your personal self-discovery that will help in picking the right person. It was while Rebecca was going to fetch water for her camels that she met the servant of Abraham, where she got married. So be about it. You can't, I think that a lot of people have, that was a very good question you asked. A lot of people have exalted marriage about purpose. It's not right. It's not healthy. All right. Social acceptance. Oh, I just want someone to love me. Why should they love you? Who are you? You're still discovering yourself. So be on a journey by yourself. And then, it was in the journey of Adam that Eve came in the first instance. So that gives us an idea that the man was working before marriage and the concept came. I think it's actually very dangerous to marry somebody and, the person is not doing anything with their life. It's a very dangerous place to be. So that's why you can't come to me and tell you want to marry somebody and the person is not working, the person not doing anything, the person is just hoping. No, go hope by yourself. When you finish hoping, if we're still available, we'll consider you. But if not, we'll leave you alone. That's what I personally believe and all that. So I think that you can, as a woman, and please, women, your purpose is not less than the purpose of a man. There are many women that are great that God has used across the world, globally. In fact, let me put it this way, because some women will be more known than their husbands, but it doesn't make them the head of their husband. That's the other thing, that they're still submitted at home and powerful outside and supported by their husband. How many people know Ibuka Oshika's husband? People don't know him that much, but he's there. And when she's in the meeting and he's there, many times people have attested to this, she will kneel down in front of him, greet him, and she will now go up, just to let people know that this is my hat, this is my cap, this is the hair that I'm wearing. So I think that it's wrong to say, oh, that I'm just going to wait till I get married before, I get into this purpose thing. No. You are meant to, you see, before the spouse, there was God. And in walking with God, you will discover your walk for him. Walk with him and you discover you walk for him. As you are walking along the path, you will meet the person that's meant to walk with you. And that's the order that it should be.
So you should already start on the journey so that you can meet the person and you guys work together, basically.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to also touch on children in marriage. Because a lot of times you find out that a lot of women, it almost seems like they are giving up their dreams for their children, and they hope they'll find fulfillment by doing that, or they hope that they will come to a realization of a purpose by doing that. So what's the balance really in taking care of your kids and doing that which you are designed to do?
I think there are two dimensions to look at this. There's the generic and there's the specific. Some people are very content about raising particular kids. And I've seen certain instances where, because those kids and their destiny and the greatness and all that, they probably needed a mother like that that would maybe focus on them. But that mother loved that. They loved that idea, as it were. However, what I'll say is this: when it comes to kids, it's not the woman's job alone to raise the kid. It is parents' responsibility. Now, if as a father, for example, if I'm very, very busy and all those kind of things, I don't outsource that responsibility to my children. Because again, or to my wife. Because again, that's when you now come and say, children will always love their mother. No, children love the person that invested in them. That is how children are. So if you are not part of their life now, you can't just throw it and say, let's be buddies. No, it doesn't work that way. So I tell people that wherever you are, start working on it, okay? I knew early that I wanted 2 kids. My wife knew we wanted 2 kids and all that. We planned around that. And we wanted to be part of their life. So I used to work in Accenture. Once my child was coming, my first child was coming, at that point in time, I knew that as a consultant, and it happens globally, they can call you anytime. You can be talking now, I just get a call. You're traveling tomorrow morning. I didn't want that life. So it was one of the things that informed my transition also to leave the consulting business to get into more like an industry role, okay? But that mattered to me. Again, you have to know what your values are. Some people don't value family. Sometimes it's because of their own personal experiences. Well, I just want to be successful. That's what they're thinking about. So you marry someone like that, he or she will never make their contribution to the growth of that home because it's not in their radar. That's why I think for singles, they should have conversations, and that's why by the time all your marriage, if all your dating is just about having sex and all that, you will not have the real conversations that will matter in the future. I'm telling you, you don't need to talk about your kids, how to raise them. That's when you know that this guy has problem or the way he handles kids. I'm telling you, some people discover in their marriage that the husband doesn't play with their children. Say, why you don't play with them? Say, why should I play with them? For what? You play with them. I'm busy. But they had always been that way, to have those important conversations very early. I think that, of course, somebody would always have to be. I've seen instances where the husband works from home. I work from home. This is my own home office and all that. I have workplaces I work outside from time to time. But in this phase of my life, because I know that very soon, I might have to be gone for 3 months. And it's not normal. When I say 3 months, it's not like I'm going totally for 3 months and not. I will go and come back. But when I come back and just transit and all that, but I learned this from one of my mentors. Says, whenever you're with your children, make sure you create memories with them. He said, when you are not with them, the memories will keep them. So I'm very intentional. Sometimes I just tell my kids, let's go out, and all that. Oh, we're going to do this, So those things keep them so that even when they don't see me, and then I also make sure that no matter where I am in the world, I speak to them every single day. All right, except there's no network there and all that. But I try, hey, where are you? And sometimes the conversation is really nice. Sometimes just plain, how's school, blah, 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 we move on. But these things are so important too. So I think that it's the responsibility of parents to raise children. The active, part of it, somebody might be a lot more involved in that, but there's a contribution fathers bring, there's a contribution that mothers bring to the equation also.
Wow. Nice. Okay, so one more question that is here. Someone is asking, is it also possible one discovers purpose helping others achieve theirs?
In fact, to be very sincere with you, I think it's in Luke 16 verse 12, it says that if you are not faithful in what belongs to another man, who will give you your own? So I tell people that service is actually one of the ways you discover yourself. Okay, in fact, many times when God wants to help people to discover themselves, He does that in the place of service. So I tell people that, and that's why the Bible says something, for example, it says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your heart. Because so it mentions two things. Whatever your hands find to do it with all your heart. So there's the heart and the heart. I tell you, sometimes do what you can with what your hand finds to do before you know what your heart wants to do. And I've seen that happen too many times. It was in a place, for example, for me, of being involved in the church I was in when I grew up in Ibadan, handling, fixing speaker, organizing conference. That was where it was there that my pastor says, "Oh, Jimmy, I want you to handle announcements." And I faltered and messed up the first few times, but I got the hang of it. Today, the microphone and I were twins. Do you get my point? So one of the ways that God does is that, and that's what people don't understand. So I want to be a man on my own. God did not design any man to be. The Bible says, "Woe to him that is alone." And so there is a place where, if many people trace it, and we find out that in their discovery, they are going to pass through the path of others. So the desire to help others is really good. But again, as you begin to discover yourself, make sure you begin to exercise yourself in that regard. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let anyone stop you. Manage your relationships well. Because sometimes some people discover themselves and want to take a step and then they get some sort of resistance in that process. There's wisdom to handle resistance, because sometimes if you break away, things can keep breaking in the future. And I think that and sometimes you just have to take a bold step, courageous, and walk away, but in peace. You are in peace, the person might be angry with you, but you're always trying to see how you can mend that relationship, because I believe very sincerely that it's just a blessed thing to be released well and all that. But you are very correct that one of the ways to discover purpose is being faithful in what belongs to another man.
Okay. So you touched on the hand and the heart issue, like whatever your hand finds to do it with all your heart. At what point do you discover what your heart really does love, not just what it has found to do? When do you know that this is it, basically?
Well, again, I think that, you see, the thing about the heart is that no matter what you do, it will keep going back there. It will keep going back there. So, for example, I have people that say, "Oh, okay, let me give you a practical example. I was head of recruitment, you mentioned that earlier, of UBA many years ago. And I would be in an interview. Now, what my hands found to do was head of recruitment for the organization. So, and I would do that with all my heart. My heart poured into it. But usually I'll finish the interview and I'll look at the person, I'll feel sorry for the person. I'll say, "Sorry, we finished the interview." Then I'll start counseling the person. By the time the person who knows they're not going to get the job, but they'll be very happy. "Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir." They're leaving, they know they're not getting the job, but they know, all right? And that was my heart trying to find expression. I would, if you ever been to my office those days, we had this little office and all that, you would see youth couples. They will come to my office in the morning, "Oga Jimmy, how are you?" Then they will ask me questions, and I will be doing what I'm doing now back then. I didn't have to struggle to do it, but my hands were diligent on my job. Now, after a while, when I began to start giving expression to my heart, my weekends, I began to focus on what my heart wanted to do. It began to grow to the point I knew it was time to move from what my hand now. Remember, it's hand, heart. So first, you usually start whatever your heart wants to do, finds to do, then do with all your heart. After a while, when you discover what your heart wants to do, you now put your hand to support your heart. Do you get my point? That's the way it actually works.
Okay, thank you so much. That's been really enlightening. Thank you so much, sir. Do you have any last words for people? We don't have any more questions yet to ask, but do you have any last words for people, people that are unsure about how exactly they are going to walk the path of purpose with their spouses, or even if they should be picking somebody else instead of another person to walk this path with them?
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about just a career path, you can go to a consultant. You're talking about a business plan, you can go to a consultant. When you're talking about your purpose for your life, you must go to the manufacturer. That's what I would say. You can live your life on a business plan. I'm telling you, I want to be a top global business, and that in itself is aspirational. But if you really want to know purpose, you cannot know purpose without knowing the manufacturer. So one of my mentors is Fela Dotore, and I was speaking to him about 2 weeks ago, and he said to me, he said, "Jimmy, God reminded me about something." He says, "Don't get too obsessed with the calling, focus on the caller. If you get the caller, you know the calling. A lot of people want to go to God as a means to get the calling, so that they can go out. You cannot even fulfill your assignment without God. So there's a portion of your walk with Him, W-A-L-K, your walk with Him, and then your work for Him. Most people want the work for Him because that's where the glory comes. But really and truly, the glory comes in your walk with Him. Remember, when Moses was with God, his face began to shine. Then He brought that to his work for Him. So make sure you have that one-on-one with your Maker. It's so important. And live from there. Truly successful people live from the inside out. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming. It's been amazing.
Thank you too.